Are any of you in what you would call active grief? We're not always grieving the loss of someone that's gone. Sometimes we grieve the loss in advance. Any of you ever done that or are doing that? Okay, so this is one of the things I would just create an awareness for you. We were doing an event in Sedona, October?
Which one?
Maybe in October, I think, of last year. And at the time, one of my longtime clients, about a month or two earlier, was just put on hospice. And he's been a client we've all known for I've known him for 12 years, but the rest of the girls have known him for as long as he's been with me. And we don't see him very often, but he's the biker guy that's the scary looking on the outside and just a gentle soul on the inside. That's him. And literally has had 3 motorcycle accidents where he's had 3 halos. That's how, like, broken necks, and still is freaking alive. Tore off the entire back of his leg, like all the muscle and everything was torn out, still alive. Like, he's had his cat's 9 lives, for sure. Now, he's having very slow ending to his life through congestive heart failure. And so anyway, 2 months before this event we were doing in Sedona with Greg Braden and Dr. Joe, he had been put on hospice, and he'd actually come to me and he said, Sonny, I don't want to go out this way. And because he's had such an adventurous, loud life, and I mean, think about all those accidents, and that's just some. And he was a party hardy kind of guy. So he just sat in my healing room and cried for 45 minutes. This big guy that isn't scared of shit, nothing, and he just bawled and bawled and bawled like a baby. And he needed to open some space for him to allow himself to release the judgment that he was having over dying through illness, because he was very aware. He's a very evolved man in a lot of ways, and felt like, why am I choosing, manifesting this particular illness? And he's extremely afraid of how his wife and his daughter are going to do when he's gone. So there's more fear than he would like to admit. And so so we processed through that. We talked and moved into a different place. And then 2 weeks later, they came up to Sedona. His wife and him came up to Sedona to come to the event that we were doing. And actually, it was a hospice, raising money for hospice. So we did a fundraiser, and they sat in the front row, and we did an exercise similar to one we're going to do today on the Love Never Ends. And his wife Terry was in the audience, and I actually invited him to come up on stage to give people an idea of this is what hospice looks like, because he's in hospice, and had him share a few words and things like that. As we were talking in the workshop that we were doing, one of the things that was so profound when I was writing the Love Never Ends book that came through to me, literally I was in the tub, and when I'm in the tub, lots of information comes, so I always keep a little notebook and pen next to the tub. I always have my iPad next to the tub so that I can write things down when they come. Well, the cleaning lady had been there, so my iPad was in my bedroom, and for whatever reason, she'd moved my little notebook, so I had nothing there. So I was literally dripping wet, and I heard this thing, and so I jumped out of the tub. I ran across the place to my office and got the piece of paper and wrote down this particular message. And what it was, and I've shared it already, but it's very profound if you allow it to move through you. And it was, you cannot experience their presence if you're focused on their absence. When you're focused on their absence, you experience absence. When you're focused on their presence, you experience presence. Now, I said this in a variety of different ways throughout our workshop or whatever. And we got done and down, went to go get something to eat or whatever, and then we bumped into them after, and his wife came up to me and who I've known for years, and she said, Sonny, I can't even begin to tell you how important that workshop was for me. And I said, oh, well, tell me why. Oh, okay, great, nice. And she said, I've been focusing on his absence and he's not even gone. I've been focusing on his absence and he's not even gone. And she said, I'm so afraid of when he leaves that I am preparing for it, and so I'm not present in his presence. So he's in front of me, and I'm not even present because all I'm thinking about is when he's going to be absent. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe we ought to do something different about that in a loving way. So the first thing, because I know that there's some of you in this room that are doing that. So the first thing I want you to recognize is appreciate every single second and moment you have, because you have that physical presence now. And we can't bring the physical presence back, but we can feel their presence in so many different ways. And if you will allow yourself to not put up your wall so that you can enjoy them while they're here still. Because when you're in the space to then deal with their physical absence in physical form, you'll have new information and new tools. Just like when you were doing the paperclip, you could not figure out how you were going to do the 15th exchange because you weren't there yet. So don't put yourself there yet. Now.